special Guthrie City Council workshop of May 17th. Second item on the agenda is the discussion, possible action to authorize acquisition of 30 body-worn cameras from Exxon Industries for the Guthrie Police Department. Chief, are you leading off on this one?
That's me.
All right, you got it.
I had a chance to talk to a couple of councilmen before the meeting started. We'd sent out numerous requests for quotes for this project. Figured the wider we cast our net, the better off we'd be financially. Late Friday, I got a call from one of the companies, and they'd had a sick employee and had just gone through their email and apologized for missing us, and they wanted to send an employee up here on Monday. I tried to talk them out of it. They sent him anyway, and it's an excellent presentation. He's actually changed my mind on the direction that I'd like to go with this project. Originally, I had hoped for the Axon project, and now I'm hoping for the body-worn project. I apologize for the handout that I gave you, that it wasn't in the original packet. I really didn't know I needed it until today. I don't know what you want to know, and I don't want to drown you with a whole bunch. I can tell you, you need to listen to the whole sentence. The body worn that I propose is by far the most expensive. It comes in at like $170,000. However, because of the nature of its configuration, we are able to eliminate our current GPS subscription that we have, and over the 5-year term of that contract, it's going to save the city right at $74,400, I think. So when you subtract that $74,000 from body worn's cost, they come in as the low bid. So there's a high bid, we subtract some stuff that they save us, and they come in as the low bid out of all.
So what are they saving that the other three can't save you?
Right now, we have a subscription to track all our cars by GPS. The other companies, the non-body worn companies, they are essentially selling a glorified GoPro, okay? Where what body worn is selling us is basically more of a software as a service. So when they put their company together, they're able to, we need to replace our, like our Wi-Fi's in our car, or MiFi's, and theirs replaces it. It's all included in the cost, and because it does that, and it's already hooked into a SIM card, a cell SIM card, their device immediately picks up using the SIM card that we have in there anyway and does the GPS. So we don't need a second service to do that. So, and right now we're paying right at, give or take, $1,200 a month for that service. And that's a savings every month right there. And it's about $74,000 over 60 months. Does that make sense?
Okay, so, but this is a five-year contract just like the others?
Yes, correct.
But this kind of would lock us in then at the end of that 5 because we're not just dealing with the body camera, we're dealing with the tracking.
The service that goes with it.
Well, yes and no.
The tracking of the vehicle.
We don't, 5 years down the road, Lord only knows what they're going to offer.
Well, and we may find out that
Technology completely changed.
Right.
I was going to say, we may find out
years,
what we've got in 6
Also,
months. What are you talking
when
about?
you get to year 4,
Everything's
and
changed
it
in
doesn't
6
look
months.
like we're going to renew with body worn, then we can look at options to split it out.
Right.
And options to do it together, so we could go up for quotes in both ways, so after the end of year 5, we could use the same company for both, or we could use 2 different companies.
We can split it right back out
Go
again.
back.
Or some of these other companies may offer it more.
They may offer it by then, correct. Additionally,
I don't know how much more beneficial it is to have this kind of a system than what we've got right now.
right.
So
Right.
that's a big thing for me.
One of the good things is we with this system, we almost get 2 GPSs for the price of 1. The way their software is set up, like right now, we track our cars, right? But if our officers get out somewhere, we have no idea where they're at. This one, it tracks the car, and it also tracks the camera that the officer wears. So we know where the car is, we know where the officer is, all the time. So that's beneficial, especially you start thinking, it's got some software features that others don't. If the officer goes prone for 15 seconds, it sends out an emergency alert and gives the geographic location where the officer is. If the officer stops the car, he bails out to chase the driver who took off. He doesn't have to worry about turning the camera on. The camera senses the sudden change in velocity with the officer. It kicks the camera on automatically. The cameras can be turned on from dispatch if the officer forgets. We can set up geofences and tell them that anytime they enter these geofenced areas, the cameras will come on automatically. It's not that the officers don't know. The officers absolutely know every time when the camera comes on. There's lots of things I like about it.
So in the other cameras, you have to manually turn them on?
Correct, correct.
And in an emergency situation, you could forget, obviously. I mean,
Possibly.
you get out of a car and somebody jumps you, or you know, there's gonna be.
One of the things I really like about this system and the Axon system is you take your gun out of the holster and the camera comes on automatically. The others don't offer that, but those two do. And I think that's important. Yeah, I mean, anytime we send an officer out on a call and it's apparent that we may have to use deadly force, I'm not gonna be thinking about that camera. I'm gonna be thinking about getting my gun out, not shooting it, but, you know, getting it out, getting it ready. And I think that's the better option, so the officer is keeping his eye on the situation instead of worrying about, you know, my camera turned on.
Well, and another thing you haven't mentioned either is it's not a box that hangs on them. It's made in their uniform.
Yes. A bunch of the complaints about most of the cameras that are today is we get out on the scene, and as soon as we get in a fight with somebody, the cameras, there's a magnet under your shirt and the camera's stuck on the outside of the magnet. And as soon as you start tussling around, that camera goes bye-bye. I gotta tell you, it's just my own pet peeve, I guess. This one I don't like because it puts a little weird grommet in our uniform shirts. But the benefit is the camera itself is entirely inside the uniform shirt. So the camera's not going anywhere. It attaches to the inside with Velcro and 3 heavy-duty snaps. And then the lens just sticks out this little hole that's cut in the shirt. It's very professionally done. It's just not normal for me, so it looks a little strange. It's not. This is not a good picture, but I mean, you see it's about the size of a quarter in the uniform shirt. I mean, there's a lens poking out, that's it.
How long has Body Worn been in business?
Body Worn's been in business only since 2013 or 14. So they haven't been around. Axon is probably the longest because if you don't recognize the word Axon, they build tasers. And tasers were their bread and butters, and now they're into body cameras. But Body Worn is not some podunk player. I think their most recent contract was in Texas. They won the Body Worn camera for Harris County, which is the 3rd largest county in the United States. They do the St. Louis Metro, they do the Indianapolis Metro. They do a lot. I'll be honest with you, we'll be the first one in Oklahoma that they've done. I talked to this guy about them and Axon, and he's like, sure, don't worry, Axon, we always beat Axon by 20%. I gotta tell you, they didn't beat Axon by 20%. They exceeded Axon by about 6 figures.
Wow.
And I told the guy, I mean, it's just too expensive. We can't do it. And he's like, let me get with my boss. We'll get you an email. So at 11:30 last night, they sent me an email saying, here's the price we're willing to offer you.
For 5 years.
For 5 years. For 5 years. And it'll be it'll be the same thing next time. It'll either go up or it'll go down, and they'll be fighting the same people. So they can either meet it or not.
Guys, I don't know how to do this because it's not what's on the agenda. but I don't see a problem with what he's asking us to do.
I don't either.
I'd like to go ahead and,
Well, one thing, let's talk about the money real quick, just so everybody's on the same page, okay? They came in at roughly $169,000 for the 5 years. I subtracted $72,000 from that because that's more or less what the savings is through the GPS. And that left us with $97,000 left over. $52,000 of that's going to be paid for a grant. That leaves a remaining total of approximately $45,800, which means the city is going to be on the hook for that for right at $9,200 a year for 5 years. It's thankfully, you know, we got the grant and these guys worked with us, and so we're saving a substantial amount of money. Here's the long and the short of it. There's nothing in the world that requires any police department to have a body-worn camera system. However, in today's world, if you don't, it's not a good position to be in, and these companies know that, and so the prices are inflated. But the good and the bad, the prices are inflated with every one of them. So you're not going to go someplace and get something super cheap. So you're hunting for the best price that you can get for the best product and service that you can get.
Yeah, in my mind, just speaking on my individual self, in my mind, I don't think there's any question that this would be a benefit to the police officers, to our citizens.
Yes.
For the safety of both.
Correct,
Groups.
correct. And it provides a lot of transparency, and that provides a lot of trust. I was talking to Justin earlier, and we've got some newer police officers that are brand new out on the streets, and the body cams we have currently are down, or theirs are down. And these guys, they've never worked without body cameras, and they are freaking out just a little bit because, you know, they know it's a safety net for them. They know it's a safety net for the public. It's about transparency and trust. And
I looked at some of their contracts online, and in most of those other contracts, it says they replace any damaged ones at no cost.
they do.
And then the 37th month, they replace them all. Did they offer that? Is
Well,
that
what we've been
information?
offered is not the 37-month, because what he told me is they anticipate coming out with a new system within the next 13 months. And so they're willing to put in the contract that we will get the newest system when it rolls out. We will get every soft grade as it rolls out, and that it will not be, I want to say, not longer than 24 months before they replace the cameras again. They send extras, so if one goes down, we can print a shipping label off. We can get we'll have like 2 extras, I think, so we can get the officer right back in the camera that same shift without, you know, losing any time in between. And we just drop the other one in the mail. As soon as they receive it, they'll send us a new one back.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
One, I'm looking at the evidence tracking, and it doesn't look like it does that.
How far down are you?
The last included before 2,200 per car year. Right below it, there's an X. Talking about the electronic evidence storage tracking.
That X,
X is yes. I mean,
X
they have
means
it.
it's,
If it's blank, they don't have it, or they did not provide me an answer. They do have, we have software protocols that we have to meet through the federal government, and we call it CJIS compliance, CJIS compliance. We have to do that with our OX terminal and any other software that we have. And so that was one of the things that we made sure on any of these that offered the evidence tracking and storage, that they were CJIS compliant, and all of them are. They would not be able to sell anything to law enforcement if they weren't compliant.
Okay, and the second question is, in terms of the pre-event video recording, and
Yes.
that's kind of impressive.
It's very impressive.
The difference,
That's the
because
only one
how
I've
many
ever seen
times-
like that.
How many times has it been that you get out there and you get started, and about the time things escalate, your camera's done?
Yes.
You
The
know?
industry standard is 30 seconds at most, and theirs is 2 minutes at most. That is a huge deal, and nobody else, as far as I know, in the industry allows for audio recording that far back. Usually, you know, they'll jump back in time 30 seconds and show you all the video that was recorded in them, but they will not do the audio. This one's different. You have the option to go back 2 minutes, and you have the option to do video or audio.
That's pretty cool.
That's a big thing.
That's pretty cool.
So the upgrades, both software and hardware, the camera and the software, that would be at no extra charge?
Correct. Throughout the 5-year period. Yeah,
Wow.
we can tear them up every year, and they'll send us new ones through the 5-year period.
Okay.
If they upgrade the camera itself, we'll get the new ones.
Okay.
One thing they're doing with this new upgrade is making sure that the batteries last at least 14 hours. And that'll be one of the first things that'll roll out in that 12-month window when they get the new camera out. They'll upgrade the battery too, because that's a big deal for us. Our guys run 12 hours. We need a battery that lasts that 12 hours. We don't need one that runs out at 6. Another thing, with most of the cameras, you have to remove the battery from the camera and either replace it with a second battery or place it physically in the charger. This one, you can charge it by micro USB, or they've got a magnet on the end and you can just slap it to the camera while it's on your shirt. And I think that's a good thing. So if you stop a car and you have to bail out, you don't have to worry about, breaking your cord, breaking your camera. The magnet just falls off when you get out. So just one less thing they have to worry about.
I like it. I think it's a good idea.
But we're not doing ALPR, right?
No, not yet, not yet.
Not ever.
Well,
Okay, explain that to me. ALPR, what's that?
it's automated license plate readers.
scanning.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't know, we have applied for a grant for some stationary ALPR cameras in the future. It'll
You
be up-
better find something to spend it on.
Well, it'll be up to you all whether or not we do that, but we'll apply for the grant. It'll be up to you whether to accept it or
Don't have
not.
facial recognition either, no.
No, and that one, the one camera on that one, he kept really trying to push that as a positive. And I'm like, you don't understand my community. They won't look at that as a positive at all. And they didn't understand that.
Yeah.
But, everybody I haven't even talked to people. People will look at that as a very intrusive part of their privacy. They will not like that.
I happen to agree.
And they can also, supervisor or whoever with clearance, by reading, you can log in and see if Dexter's sleeping in an alley.
So if the camera's activated,
No,
if the camera's activated,
Yeah, he has to be laying
He has
down,
to be
remember?
prone.
a
I like
supervisor
No,
or
no,
somebody
you
can log in and see.
live and see what's going on.
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
the cameras can be pointing to the windshield. So.
I'd make a motion that we approve the body worn project.
I'll second that.
I'd want to approve 31 of them. I know somebody would like to hang one on.
In fact, we do have a citizen that would like to make a comment. Had you filled out a form out there at all?
No, I thought it was a workshop, I didn't have to.
Well, we'll make an exception.
Go ahead,
We'll make-
go ahead.
No, we would like to have your input.
I waited to see if anyone else would ask the
Nate-
question. I'm
Nate?
Jamie Newton,
Address?
1816 East Roosevelt Avenue here in Guthrie. My question is a two-part. Do the integrated cameras require a new uniform? Can the current uniforms be modified to accept the camera? And either option, has the cost estimate included the cost of either one of those options?
Good question.
So with this contract, the company will allow us, without any additional cost, to turn in up to 8 of our garments per officer to be retrofitted with the grommet. Won't cost us anything. We'll be out without uniforms for not without uniforms. We'll send off a couple at a time to get retrofitted.
So no new uniforms required?
No new uniforms, and we use Blauer uniforms. The company has a contract with Blauer. We can order straight from Blauer, and they will ship our shirts with the grommet and the
Ready to
snaps
go.
and the stuff already on the inside at no additional cost.
Okay,
That's good.
all right,
I like that.
all right.
We do have extra uniforms in the closet. If we chose to send those off beyond the 8 or whatever per officer, we can always do that. There will be a cost. It's $12
Roy, you
a
got
shirt.
some wisdom for us?
Okay,
I think you all covered it to death. That's no question.
Well, we got 30 whole minutes.
Motion is second.
And you would use the same motion recommended on the agenda, other than instead of Exxon, you would replace it with,
Body worn utility.
Body worn, exactly.
okay. Did that answer your question, Jamie? Jamie? Okay, all right.
They claim to have a 95% renewal rate.
That's what they claim.
That's what they claim. I don't know.
I contacted 4 different places, and they are all in either the second or third contract for 5 years. Everybody seems to be pretty happy about them. One of the places in Indiana talked about some 11-man department in Texas that just clamored and clamored for some change, and I knew what the change was, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was. And the company looked at it, evaluated it, and changed it system-wide, because they thought it was value to everyone, not just the little 11-man department. That's pretty responsive to users.
I can't find any bad stories on them.
I haven't found any bad stories. The worst thing I can say about it is I don't really like the hole in the uniform. But other than that, they seem
That
good.
guy right there could.
Okay, we have,
Also,
we have.
I just want to add one more thing. They are on the state contract, this vendor is on the state
Yes,
contract.
this company is on state contract, so no additional bidding requirement or anything like that.
All right, I believe we have a
One other
motion
dumb thing.
and a second.
Hang on, Mayor.
Hang on, one more
This is
discussion.
the more discussion part.
Okay,
On these others that I saw and looking at them, they have taxes figured in. Are we not tax exempt?
We are, and I talked to him about that, and of course, the story's always, well, that's just what our software does, and you wouldn't have to pay it. I don't know why you just couldn't take it off there and clean the process up, but that's their story.
Okay.
okay. All right, we do have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
He didn't let you
I'll
get to the
cover it.
question.
I'll
I'm
cover
out
it.
now.
Okay, because the agenda item does read, possible action, this is a voting item, so submit your votes.
Votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval from those council present to move forward with the acquisition of cameras from Body Worn, and go ahead and initiate that contract.
I
Chief?
appreciate it, my guys appreciate it, it means a lot
Well, we
to
appreciate
them
you.
and the community.
We appreciate all of you. This will be, like I say, this will be a win-win for everybody
Everybody.
concerned, and I think we got a good product at the lowest possible price.
Thank you, Mayor, thank you. Council.
Congratulations. With that being the last item on the agenda, we are adjourned.